They've been telling you for decades that all nuts are created equal, that they're all heart healthy and good for you. But what if I told you that after six, some of the nuts sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now are actually draining your energy, clouding your memory, and yes, even affecting your performance in the bedroom? I'm Dr. Megan Torres, and for over 25 years, I've been helping men and women rediscover their vitality after 60. Here on Life After 65, I've witnessed thousands of people transform their health, their energy, and their confidence simply by making the right food choices. And today, I'm going to share something that might shock you. There are exactly 4 nuts that can literally turn back the clock on your aging body. They can restore your energy, sharpen your mind, balance your blood sugar, and even reignite that spark you thought was gone forever. But there are also 4 others. Nuts that are marketed as healthy, that are quietly sabotaging your health every single day. Most people over 60 have it completely backwards. They're avoiding the powerful nuts that could change their lives, while munching on the ones that are slowly stealing their vitality. And the worst part, the food industry wants to keep it that way. Let me share something that happened just last month. A patient named Robert, 67 years old, came into my office exhausted and frustrated. He'd been following every healthy aging tip he could find, including eating what he thought were good nuts every day. But instead of feeling better, he felt worse, tired, foggy, and disappointed with his declining energy. Robert's story isn't unique. Every week, I see patients who are doing everything right, according to conventional wisdom, yet they're still struggling with fatigue, memory issues, and that general feeling of decline that so many people accept as inevitable. After 60, they've been told that nuts are universally healthy, so they're eating almonds for heart health, walnuts for brain function, and Brazil nuts for But here's what no one tells you. Your body after 60 is fundamentally different from your body at 40 or 50. Your digestive system processes foods differently. Your hormonal landscape has shifted dramatically. Your cellular repair mechanisms have slowed down, and your nutritional needs have changed in ways that most doctors never learned about in medical school. When I showed Robert what I'm about to show you today, everything changed. Within just 3 weeks, Robert told me he felt like he'd found the fountain of youth. His words, not mine. He said, "Dr. Torres, I haven't felt this alive since my 40s. His wife called me personally to say she had her husband back, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. But Robert's transformation didn't happen by accident. It happened because we addressed something that 90% of people over 60 get wrong: the specific nutrients their aging bodies need to thrive. And more importantly, the hidden toxins and inflammatory compounds they need to avoid. Before we dive deeper, I want you to do something for me. Comment below which city or country you're watching from. Like this video if it's resonating with you. And subscribe to Life After 65 so you don't miss what's coming next. Why? Because what I'm about to reveal could be the missing piece in your health puzzle. And I want to make sure you don't miss a single detail. Now, you might be wondering, how can something as simple as choosing the right nuts make such a dramatic difference? The answer lies in what happens to your body after 60. Your metabolism slows by approximately 2 to 3% per decade. Your hormone production, including testosterone, estrogen, and growth hormone, declines significantly. Your cellular repair mechanisms become less efficient. Your digestive system produces less stomach acid and fewer digestive enzymes, and your immune system becomes more reactive to inflammatory compounds. What this means is that foods that were neutral or even beneficial in your younger years can now work against you. A handful of the wrong nuts can trigger inflammatory cascades that last 4 days. They can interfere with your medications, disrupt your sleep, spike your blood sugar, and even affect your cognitive function. But here's the beautiful truth that the anti-aging industry doesn't want you to know. Nature has already provided everything you need to thrive after 60. You don't need expensive supplements, complicated diets, or miracle pills. You just need to know which foods truly serve your aging body and which ones are holding you back. The science is clear, but it's buried in research journals that most people never see. The food industry has convinced us that all nuts are created equal, But that's simply not true. Some nuts contain compounds that support healthy aging, while others contain substances that accelerate it. Before I reveal the nuts you should avoid, let me share the 4 powerhouse nuts that can literally transform your health after 60. These aren't just snacks. They're like daily medicine for your aging body. And the best part, they're probably already available at your local grocery store. But chances are, you're not eating them in the right way, or in the right amounts. The energy restorer, pecans, your natural testosterone booster. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 62-year-old retired teacher who came to see me last year. She was dealing with what she called invisible exhaustion. That bone-deep tiredness that sleep couldn't fix. She'd wake up feeling like she hadn't slept at all, and by afternoon, she could barely keep her eyes open. Margaret had tried everything: B12 shots, iron supplements, thyroid medications, even hormone replacement therapy. Nothing seemed to work. She was beginning to think that fatigue was just her new normal, something she'd have to accept as part of aging. What Margaret didn't know was that her body was struggling with declining hormone levels, specifically affecting her energy production at the cellular level. After 60, both men and women experience significant drops in testosterone production. Yes, women need testosterone too. It's crucial for energy, muscle tone, bone density, and that spark of vitality that makes you feel truly alive. I recommended she add just 6 pecan halves to her morning routine, and the results were remarkable. But here's why pecans work so powerfully for people over 60. Pecans are nature's richest source of gamma-tocopherol, a specific form of vitamin E that most people have never heard of. This compound doesn't just protect your cells from damage. It actually helps your body produce energy more efficiently at the mitochondrial level. Your mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells, and after 60, they need specific nutrients to function optimally. But here's the secret that makes pecans especially powerful. After 60, they contain natural compounds called beta-C. These plant sterols provide the building blocks your body needs to maintain optimal hormone production naturally, without the risks associated with synthetic hormone replacement. Pecans also contain manganese, which is crucial for bone health and collagen production. They're rich in thiamine, which supports nervous system function and helps convert carbohydrates into energy. And they contain zinc, which is essential for immune function and wound healing, both of which decline naturally with age. Within 2 weeks of adding pecans to her daily routine, Margaret noticed she was waking up refreshed. By the 4th week, she told me she felt like she had borrowed energy from her younger self. The change wasn't just physical. Her mood improved, her confidence returned, and she started taking on projects she'd been putting off for years. But Margaret's story gets even better. 6 months later, she ran into a friend who hadn't seen her in a year. The friend asked if she'd had work done, because she looked so much younger and more vibrant. Margaret laughed and said, "No, I just started eating the right nut. The brain protector, hazelnuts, your memory's best friend." Now, let me introduce you to David, a 69-year-old retired engineer who was terrified he was developing dementia. He'd started forgetting names, losing his keys, and struggling to follow conversations. His greatest fear was losing his mental sharpness, the very thing that had defined his professional life. David's wife had noticed the changes too. She told me privately that David had become withdrawn and anxious, constantly worried about his memory. He'd stopped engaging in activities he loved because he was afraid of embarrassing himself. The man who had designed complex systems for aerospace companies was now afraid to balance his own checkbook. David's story is more common than you might think. After 60, our brains face increasing oxidative stress from free radicals. Inflammation starts damaging neural pathways. Blood flow to the brain often decreases due to arterial stiffness, and the production of key neurotransmitters begins to decline. But hazelnuts contain something extraordinary: the highest concentration of vitamin E among all tree nuts, specifically in forms that cross the blood-brain barrier. Vitamin E is one of the most powerful antioxidants for protecting brain tissue, but most supplements contain only one form of vitamin hazelnuts contain all 8 forms naturally. What makes hazelnuts truly special is their unique profile of folate and healthy monounsaturated fats. Folate is crucial for producing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. The monounsaturated fats improve blood flow to the brain and help maintain the integrity of cell membranes in neural tissue. Hazelnuts also contain copper, which is essential for myelin production, the protective sheath around nerve fibers. They're rich in magnesium, which helps regulate neurotransmitter function. And they contain B vitamins that support cognitive function and memory formation. I recommended David eat 8 to 10 hazelnuts every morning with his coffee. The ritual itself became meaningful to him, a daily investment in protecting his most precious asset, his mind. But I also taught him to chew them slowly and mindfully, which helps with digestion and absorption of nutrients. After 6 weeks, David's wife noticed he was remembering details from conversations, finding his keys without searching, and engaging more actively in their discussions. After 3 months, David told me he felt confident enough to start tutoring young engineers again, something he'd stopped doing because he was afraid of making mistakes. But the most touching moment came during his follow-up visit. David looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "Dr. Torres, I feel like myself again. I'm not afraid of my own mind anymore." That's the power of giving your brain exactly what it needs to thrive. The heart guardian macadamias, but not what you think. I know what you're thinking. Didn't some health experts say macadamias were bad? Here's where most health advice gets it wrong. Raw, unsalted macadamias in small portions are actually heart protective powerhouses. The problem comes when people eat the roasted, salted, flavored versions by the handful. Let me tell you about a 64-year-old grandmother who was managing high blood pressure and was terrified of having a heart attack like her father did. She'd tried every heart-healthy diet, eliminated salt, exercised religiously, but her numbers weren't improving significantly, and she was frustrated with all the restrictions. Elena felt like she was living in constant fear. Every chest pain, every moment of shortness of breath sent her into a panic. She'd stopped doing many of the activities she loved because she was afraid of triggering a cardiac event. Her world had become smaller and smaller. Macadamias contain the highest percentage of monounsaturated fats of any nut, the same heart-healthy fats found in olive oil and avocado. But they also contain something unique: palmitoleic acid, a rare omega-6 fatty acid that has been shown to improve cholesterol ratios and reduce inflammation in blood vessels. This omega-6 fatty acid is particularly important for people over 60 because it helps maintain arterial flexibility. As we age, our arteries naturally become stiffer, which increases blood pressure and strain on the heart. Palmitoleic acid helps counteract this process naturally. Macadamias are also rich in potassium, which helps regulate blood pressure. They contain magnesium, which supports heart rhythm and helps prevent arterial and they're one of the few nuts that contain significant amounts of manganese, which is crucial for maintaining healthy blood vessels. The key is portion control and preparation. I taught Elena to eat exactly 3 raw macadamias every evening after dinner, chewing them slowly and mindfully. This small ritual provided powerful heart protective benefits without the caloric overload. Makes macadamias problematic for some people. After 3 months, Elena's blood pressure had improved significantly, and her cardiologist was amazed by her cholesterol improvement. Her HDL cholesterol had increased, while her LDL cholesterol had decreased. But more importantly, Elena felt confident and in control of her heart health for the first time in years. The sleep enhancer, pine nuts, the insomnia cure. Finally, let me share the story of Thomas, a 71-year-old who hadn't slept through the night in over 5 years. He'd tried everything: melatonin, sleep hygiene, meditation, even prescription sleep aids. But nothing gave him the deep, restorative sleep his body craved. Thomas was caught in a vicious cycle. Poor sleep made him tired during the day, so he'd nap, which made nighttime sleep even more difficult. He was cranky, forgetful, and his relationship with his wife was suffering because of his constant fatigue and irritability. What Thomas didn't know was that his body was deficient in magnesium and specific amino acids that promote natural sleep cycles. After 60, our bodies produce less melatonin naturally, and we become more sensitive to factors that disrupt sleep. Pine nuts are one of nature's richest sources of magnesium, containing about 71 milligrams per ounce. But they also contain phenolenic acid, a unique fatty acid that helps regulate hunger hormones and promotes deeper sleep. This is important because many sleep disruptions in older adults are related to blood sugar fluctuations during the night. Pine nuts also contain tryptophan, the amino acid that helps produce serotonin and melatonin. They're rich in zinc, which is crucial for neurotransmitter production, and they contain vitamin B1, which helps regulate the nervous system and promote relaxation. I recommended Thomas eat a small handful of pine nuts 1 hour before bedtime. The combination of magnesium, healthy fats, and natural tryptophan works synergistically to calm the nervous system and promote natural melatonin production. Within just 1 week, Thomas was sleeping through the night. Within a month, he told me he felt like a new person, more energetic during the day, sharper mentally, and emotionally more balanced. His wife said she had her husband back. Good sleep, it turns out, was the foundation his body needed to heal and thrive. Now that you know which nuts can transform your health, I need to share something that might upset you. The food industry has been promoting certain nuts as superfoods and heart-healthy options, but after 60, these same nuts can actually accelerate aging, disrupt your medications, and steal the very vitality you're trying to protect. I've seen it happen countless times in my practice. Well-meaning patients come to me confused and frustrated because they've been following all the right advice, eating all the healthy foods, but still feeling worse. When we dig deeper, we often discover they've been unknowingly sabotaging their health with nuts that work against their aging body. The problem is that most nutritional advice is based on studies of younger adults. What works for a 30-year-old doesn't necessarily work for your digestive system, immune response, and metabolic processes have all changed dramatically. But the food recommendations haven't kept up with this reality. The hidden inflammation bomb. I know this might shock you because almonds have been praised as the perfect healthy snack for decades. But let me tell you about Carol, a 66-year-old retired nurse who was struggling with joint pain, brain fog, and mysterious digestive issues that were getting worse despite eating what she thought was a perfect diet. Carol was meticulous about her health. She ate organic foods, exercised regularly, took her vitamins, and followed every healthy eating guideline she could find. She was eating a handful of almonds every single day because her previous doctor told her they were heart health and would help with her cholesterol. But Carol was experiencing increasing joint stiffness, especially in the mornings. She'd wake up feeling like she'd been hit by a truck. Her thinking felt foggy, and she'd lost the mental sharpness that had made her an excellent nurse for 40 years. She was also dealing with digestive issues, bloating, gas, and irregular bowel movements that seemed to have no apparent cause. What nobody told Carol was that almonds contain high levels of omega-6 fatty acid, which can trigger inflammation when consumed regularly, especially in aging bodies that are already dealing with increased inflammatory responses. After 60, your body's ability to balance omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids diminishes significantly. When this ratio gets disrupted, which happens easily when you eat omega-6 rich foods daily, it creates a cascade of chronic inflammation that shows up as joint pain, brain fog, digestive issues, and even cardiovascular problems. The very nuts Carol thought were protecting her heart were actually creating inflammation throughout her entire system. But there's another hidden danger in almonds that most people never consider. Almonds contain high levels of phytic acid, which binds to essential minerals like zinc, iron, and magnesium, preventing your body from absorbing them. After 60, when your digestive system is already less efficient at extracting nutrients from food, this becomes a serious problem. Almonds also contain lectins, proteins that can irritate the digestive tract and contribute to intestinal permeability, commonly known as leaky gut. For older adults whose digestive systems are already more sensitive, this can lead to food sensitivities, autoimmune reactions, and chronic digestive issues. Additionally, most commercial almonds are pasteurized using chemicals or high heat, which destroys many of their beneficial nutrients. While leaving the problematic compounds intact, you're getting the inflammatory effects without the protective benefits. When Carol eliminated almonds from her diet and replaced them with the nuts I recommended earlier, Her transformation was remarkable. Within 3 weeks, her joint pain decreased significantly. Within 2 months, her mental clarity returned, and her digestive issues resolved completely. She told me, "Dr. Torres, I had no idea that something I thought was healthy was making me feel so miserable." The blood sugar disruptor, walnut. Now, before you get confused, let me clarify something important. Walnuts can be beneficial when eaten correctly, but the way most people over 60 consume them is actually dangerous for blood sugar stability and brain health. Let me share Robert's story. A different Robert from earlier. This Robert was 73 years old, and his doctor had recommended walnuts for brain health, so Robert was eating large handfuls throughout the day, thinking more was better. He'd have some with breakfast, more as a mid-morning snack, and another handful in the evening while watching TV. What happened next was a perfect storm of blood sugar chaos. Robert started experiencing energy crashes in the afternoon, increased sugar cravings, and his blood glucose readings became erratic. His doctor was puzzled because his diet otherwise seemed healthy. While walnuts do contain beneficial omega-3 fatty acids, they're also surprisingly high in carbohydrates, about 4 grams per ounce. When eaten in large quantities or at the wrong times, they can cause significant blood sugar spikes, especially in people over 60 whose insulin sensitivity has naturally decreased. But here's the bigger problem. Most commercial walnuts are stored improperly and develop rancid oils that are actually toxic to brain cells. Those beneficial omega-3 turn into harmful compounds that promote inflammation in the very brain tissue they're supposed to protect. Robert was unknowingly consuming oxidized fats that were contributing to his cognitive decline. The oxidation process happens because walnuts have very delicate oils that are easily damaged by light, heat, and air. Once these oils go rancid, they become pro-inflammatory and can actually accelerate brain aging rather than prevent it. Additionally, walnuts contain natural compounds called tannins that can interfere with iron absorption and cause digestive distress in sensitive individuals. After 60, when stomach acid production naturally decreases, these tannins can cause nausea, bloating, and nutrient malabsorption. Walnuts are also high in arginine, an amino acid that can trigger herpes outbreaks in susceptible individuals. Many older adults carry the herpes simplex virus without knowing it, and arginine-rich foods can trigger painful cold sores or other outbreaks. When we adjusted Robert's approach, limiting him to just 3 to 4 fresh walnut halves per day, eaten only with meals to minimize blood sugar impact, and ensuring he bought them in small quantities and stored them properly, his energy stabilized, his blood sugar readings improved, and his digestive comfort returned. The medication saboteur, Brazil nuts. This one might surprise you because Brazil nuts are often recommended for their selenium content. But let me tell you about Patricia, a 68-year-old woman who was taking multiple medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, and thyroid function. Despite following her medication regimen perfectly, her numbers kept fluctuating unpredictably, and her doctors couldn't figure out why. Patricia was a model patient. She took her medications at the same time every day, followed her diet religiously, and kept detailed records of her symptoms and readings. But something was causing dangerous fluctuations in her medication effectiveness, and it was putting her health at risk. Patricia had read about the benefits of selenium and was eating 3 to 4 Brazil nuts every day. What she didn't know was that she was consuming dangerous levels of selenium, up to 400% of the safe daily limit. Just one Brazil nut contains 68 to 91 micrograms of selenium, and the upper safe limit is 400 micrograms per day. Selenium toxicity, is a real and serious condition that can cause hair loss, brittle nails, digestive issues, neurological problems, and, most dangerously, interference with prescription medications. Patricia was experiencing several of these symptoms but didn't connect them to her healthy Brazil nut habit. But the problem goes deeper than just selenium overload. Brazil nuts also contain high levels of radium, a naturally occurring radioactive element that accumulates in the body over time. For older adults whose detoxification systems are already compromised, this radioactive buildup can contribute to cellular damage and accelerated aging, Brazil nuts are also extremely high in barium, another potentially toxic element. The combination of selenium, radium, and barium creates a toxic load that can overwhelm the liver and kidneys, especially in older adults whose organ function is already declining. Additionally, Brazil nuts can interfere with thyroid medications, blood thinners, and cholesterol-lowering drugs. The selenium content can either amplify or diminish the effects of these medications, making it nearly impossible for doctors to properly calibrate dosages. Brazil nuts also contain high levels of These are carcinogenic and can cause liver damage over time. For older adults who may already have compromised liver function, this additional toxic burden can be dangerous. When Patricia eliminated Brazil nuts from her diet, her medication levels stabilized within weeks. Her doctor was amazed at how consistent her readings became, and Patricia felt more energy and mental clarity than she'd experienced in years. Her hair also stopped falling out, and her digestive issues resolved. The silent killer. Now we come to the most deceptive nut of all. Pistachios are marketed as a heart-healthy, portion-controlled snack. But for people over 60, they can be absolutely devastating to kidney health and blood pressure control. Let me tell you about James, a 70-year-old retired mechanic who prided himself on eating healthy. He'd switched from chips and crackers to pistachios as his evening snack, often finishing an entire bag while watching television. James thought he was making a healthy choice, but he was actually setting himself up for a health crisis. Most commercial pistachios are loaded with sodium, often 200 to 300 milligrams per small serving. For someone eating a full bag, that can add up to over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a single sitting. After 60, when kidney function naturally declines and blood pressure becomes harder to control, this level of sodium intake can be dangerous. But sodium is just the beginning of the problem. Pistachios are also extremely high in potassium, over 300 milligrams per ounce. While potassium is generally healthy for older adults taking blood pressure medications, diuretics, or those with any degree of kidney impairment, excess potassium can cause dangerous heart rhythm disturbances. James learned this the hard way when he ended up in the emergency room with dangerously elevated potassium levels and irregular heartbeat. The doctors couldn't understand why his levels were so high until we traced it back to his healthy pistachio habit. Pistachios are also prone to contamination with These are carcinogenic and can cause liver damage, especially problematic for older adults whose liver function is already declining naturally with age. There's another hidden danger in pistachios that most people don't consider. Their hard shells can damage dental work. Many older adults have crowns, bridges, or implants, and the force required to crack pistachio shells can cause expensive and painful dental damage. Pistachios are also high in arginine, which can trigger herpes outbreaks, and they contain compounds that can interfere with blood clotting medications. For older adults who are often on multiple medications, these interactions can be dangerous. When James eliminated pistachios and replaced them with the beneficial nuts I recommended, his blood pressure stabilized, his kidney function improved, and he avoided what could have been a life-threatening health crisis. If you're watching this and realizing you've been eating some of these nuts regularly, don't panic. Your body is remarkably resilient and can recover quickly when you give it the right support. Like this video if you're learning something new, and comment below to let me know which of these nuts surprised you the most. Your comment might help someone else avoid a dangerous mistake. The truth is, most people over 60 are playing nutritional roulette without even knowing it. They're following outdated advice that doesn't account for how dramatically the body changes at 60. But now, you have the knowledge to make informed choices that will support your health rather than undermine it. Now that you understand which nuts to embrace and which ones to eliminate, let me give you a practical roadmap for making this transition safely and effectively. After working with thousands of patients over 60, I've learned that the how and when of these changes is just as important as what you change. Many people make the mistake of trying to overhaul their entire diet overnight. This approach almost always fails because it's too overwhelming, and it can actually stress your body, your digestive system, your taste preferences, and even your psychological relationship with food have developed over decades. Sudden dramatic changes can trigger cravings, digestive upset, and the feeling that healthy eating is too difficult to maintain. Week 1. the gentle elimination. Don't try to change everything at once. Your body has become accustomed to certain foods, and sudden changes can cause unnecessary stress. Start by eliminating just one problematic nut from your diet. I recommend starting with Brazil nuts if you've been eating them regularly, since the selenium toxicity effects reverse most quickly. If you've been eating almonds daily, don't go cold turkey. Instead, reduce your portion by half for the first 3 days, then eliminate them completely. This gradual approach helps prevent cravings and allows your body to adjust. Replace your morning or afternoon nut snack with one of the beneficial options. If you've been eating almonds as a mid-morning snack, replace them with 6 pecan halves. If you've been having pistachios in the evening, switch to 15 to 20 pine nuts 1 hour before bedtime. Pay attention to how you feel. Many of my patients notice improvements in energy and sleep quality within just 3 to 5 days. Sarah, a 65-year-old patient, told me, "Dr. Torres, I thought it was just coincidence, but by day 4, I was waking up without my usual brain fog for the first time in months." During this first week, you might experience some mild detox symptoms as your body eliminates inflammatory compounds. You might feel slightly tired or experience mild headaches. This is normal and usually passes within 3 to 4 days. Drink plenty of water and get adequate rest during this transition period. Week 2, the full transition. By the second week, eliminate the second problematic nut and add a second beneficial nut to your routine. This is when most people start noticing more significant changes. Your inflammation levels begin to decrease, your blood sugar becomes more stable, and your energy starts to feel more consistent throughout the day. This is also when you might experience what I call cellular clarity. That feeling when your body starts functioning more efficiently. Colors might seem brighter, your thinking feels clearer, and you start having what I call energetic moments, times when you feel genuinely excited about activities or projects. Your sleep quality should also improve significantly during this week. Many patients report deeper, more restorative sleep and waking up feeling more refreshed than they have in years. Continue to monitor your body's responses. Some people notice improvements in joint pain or stiffness during this week. Others report better digestion or more stable moods. These are all signs that your body is responding positively to the changes. Week 3, the synergistic effect. By week 3, you should have eliminated all problematic nuts and incorporated at least 3 of the beneficial ones into your daily routine. This is when the magic really happens. The different nutrients start working together synergistically. The magnesium from pine nuts enhances the vitamin E absorption from hazelnuts. The healthy fats from pecans improve the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins from all sources. Your body begins to function like a well-tuned orchestra, with each nutrient playing its part in perfect harmony. Many patients tell me this is when they start feeling like themselves again, with energy levels and mental clarity they haven't experienced in years. This is also when family members and friends often comment on visible improvements in appearance, energy, and mood. You might notice that your taste preferences have started to change. The nuts you once craved may no longer appeal to you, while the beneficial nuts start tasting better and more satisfying. Week 4, the new normal. By the 4th week, these changes should feel natural and automatic. Your body has adapted to its new fuel source, and you're experiencing the full benefits of proper nutrition for your aging physiology. This is often when people experience what I call rediscovered confidence. They start taking on challenges they'd been avoiding, engaging more actively in social situations, and feeling optimistic about their future health. Your energy levels should be stable throughout the day, without the afternoon crashes that many people over 60 experience. Your mental clarity should be sharp, and you should be sleeping deeply and waking up refreshed. Managing the transition. What to expect? Some people worry about side effects or adjustment periods. Let me address the most common concern: digestive changes. You might notice changes in digestion during the first week. This is normal, as your gut microbiome adjusts to new foods. Drink plenty of water and eat your nuts with meals initially to ease the transition. The beneficial nuts contain prebiotics that will actually improve your digestive health over time. Energy fluctuations. Some people experience temporary energy fluctuations as their blood sugar regulation improves. This typically stabilizes within 5 to 7 days as your insulin sensitivity improves. Sleep changes. Many people notice improved sleep quality almost immediately, especially when adding pine nuts in the evening. Don't be surprised if you start sleeping more deeply and waking up more refreshed. Some people initially sleep more than usual as their body catches up on restorative sleep. Cravings: you might initially crave the nuts you've eliminated. This is normal and usually subsides within 10 to 14 days. As your taste preferences adjust, the cravings are often a sign that your body was addicted to the inflammatory compounds in those nuts. Mood changes. As inflammation decreases and nutrient status improves, many people experience improved mood and mental clarity. Some people feel more optimistic and energetic than they have in years. The daily ritual that changes everything. Here's what I recommend as your new daily nut ritual. Morning: 6 pecan halves to boost energy and hormone production. 8 to 10 hazelnuts to support brain function throughout the day. Afternoon: 3 raw macadamias for heart protection. Evening: 15 to 20 pine nuts to promote restful sleep. Storage and preparation tips. Keep all nuts refrigerated to prevent rancid. Buy them in small quantities and use them within 2 to 3 months. Choose raw, unsalted varieties whenever possible. If you have difficulty chewing, you can lightly crush them or soak them in warm water for 10 minutes to soften. Store nuts in airtight containers in the refrigerator, not in the pantry where heat and light can cause the oils to go rancid. Buy from stores with high turnover to ensure freshness. Before we move to our final chapter, I want you to do something important. Take a screenshot of this video timeline so you can reference your 30-day plan. Then, comment below and tell me which week you're most excited about and why. Your enthusiasm might inspire someone else who's hesitant to start their transformation journey. As I sit here in my office, looking at the hundreds of thank you letters and photos from patients who have transformed their lives through simple, natural changes like these, I'm reminded of something profound. Age is not a limitation. It's an opportunity for wisdom, for making choices that truly serve your body and your life. Every day, I see men and women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who have been told by society, by other doctors, even by their own families, that decline is inevitable, that fatigue is normal, that brain fog is just part of getting older, that losing their spark is something they have to accept. But here's what I know: after 25 years of helping people reclaim their health, your body is still listening. It's still responding. It's still capable of remarkable healing and transformation. You just need to speak its language. The language of proper nutrition, appropriate movement, adequate rest, and most importantly, hope. The simple act of choosing the right nuts, something that takes less than 5 minutes a day, can be the catalyst for changes that ripple through every aspect of your life. When your energy returns, you engage more fully with the people you love. When your mind clears, you rediscover interests and passions you thought were lost forever. When your vitality returns, you start believing in possibilities again. Let me share one final story that illustrates this perfectly. Last month, I received a letter from a couple, Helen and Frank, both in their late 70s. They had implemented the changes we discussed today 6 months earlier. Helen wrote, "Dr. Torres, I need to tell you what happened. Last week, Frank and I were walking through the park where we had our first date 52 years ago. We started talking about all the things we wanted to do, but kept putting off because we didn't have the energy. Then we looked at each other and realized, we have the energy now. We booked a trip to Italy. At 77 and 79 years old, we're planning the adventure of lifetime." That letter brought tears to my eyes because it captures something so important. This isn't just about living longer. It's about living fully, with purpose, energy, and joy. It's about refusing to accept limitation as inevitable and choosing vitality as a way of life. Helen and Frank's story isn't unique. I have patients in their 80s who are more energetic than people half their age. I have 75-year-olds who are learning new languages, starting new hobbies, and yes, even finding new love. I have patients who thought their best years were behind them, only to discover that their best years were just beginning. Here on Life After 65, I've had the privilege of witnessing thousands of these transformations. Each one reminds me that the narrative of inevitable decline is not just wrong, it's harmful. It robs people of hope, of possibility, of the future they deserve. Your age is not your enemy. Your body is not broken. The fatigue, the brain fog, the lost vitality. These are not sentences you have to serve. They're simply signals that your body needs different support now than it did in your younger years. The beautiful truth is that nature has provided everything you need to thrive at every stage of life. You don't need expensive treatments, complicated protocols, or miracle cures. You need wisdom. The wisdom to understand how your body has changed and how to honor those changes with the right choices. Starting tomorrow morning, when you reach for your first handful of nuts, remember this. You're not just eating a snack. You're making a declaration. You're telling your body, your mind, and your spirit that you refuse to accept decline as inevitable. You're choosing vitality over resignation, hope over despair, thriving over merely surviving. The changes might start small. A little more energy in the afternoon, a clearer thought, a better night's sleep, but small changes compound into transformative ones. The energy leads to engagement. The clarity leads to confidence. The better sleep leads to better days, which lead to a better life. You have more control over your health and vitality than you've been led to believe. The power to feel alive, energetic, and purposeful at 60, 70, 80, and beyond is literally in your hands. And sometimes, it's as simple as choosing the right nut. Your best years don't have to be behind you. In fact, I believe they can be ahead of you, starting right now. Because when you give your body what it truly needs, when you honor its wisdom and support its healing, remarkable things become possible. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your help. If this message has resonated with you, please share it with someone you care about who might need to hear it. Like this video to help us reach more people who deserve to know these truths. And subscribe to Life After 65 because your journey to optimal health is just beginning. Remember, you're not too old to change. You're not too old to heal, and you're certainly not too old to thrive. Your vitality is not lost. It's just waiting to be Until next time, this is Dr. Megan Torres reminding you that your best life is not behind you, it's ahead of you, and it starts with the choices you make today.